The Beehive Sports Podcast is powered by Swing Juice. Visit swingjuice.com and use promo code Beehive20 for 20% off your golf and MLB PA apparel. Swing Juice, wear it, feel it, play it. Episode 30. We're going to have the usual NFL and college football reactions. MLB playoffs is in full swing and haven't disappointed. 10 sports history facts for all of you to react to now that everybody's here and can comment. In the things that sting, we have updates on Isai, Etute, and Marcelo Zuna. Then we got the biggest story of the week with the John Gruden resignation. In my hive, we have the mailbag. Going back to the mailbag, and we're going to read off some of your NFL reaction through 5 weeks. Let's go.
Welcome to the Beehive Sports Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joe Bees and Kylie Munch.
All right, everybody, welcome. This week's opening segment is brought to you by Napoli's. Hungry, watching the game? Call Napoli's at 814-723-7455. Open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., located in North Warren. Pickup or delivery available. We are live for our very first episode of the regular podcast. The audio will be available after the show if you choose to, be a listener rather than a viewer. Sometime probably before lunch, the audio will be up from this show, so you'll be able to listen on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever. We're doing our maiden voyage live after both of us just worked night shift. So this should be good. Yeah. So bear with us if we fuck anything up or whatever. Let us know about it. You can comment. We are going to be reviewing comments after each segment, posting some of them up on the screen, discussing them and whatnot. So here we go. Snake update. 52-0 over the Mustangs, which puts our through 5 games, scored 296, given up 56. Kind of like the Bills right now.
Right.
Yeah. Last week we started off with some golf stuff, and I got a hate mail from Mike Honorati about it. He said it was a big miss.
Yeah, that's right. He did, yeah. Missed
big on the golf thing because I said the PGA planned it. It's actually Capital One. So correction, right? But really, Honorati, the big miss was when me, a 17 handicap, beat you, a 2 handicap on the back 9 at Conowongo, 40-41. So that's a big miss. But we're going to stick with golf off the bat. J.R. Smith, because we talked about him going back to college, walked on the golf team, shot a 79. He was 8 over, finished like 83rd out of 84 at his first college tournament. So not great. And to boot, he walked over a hornet's nest and got stung a shitload of times and had to be treated.
Nice.
So it's not a great start. All right, so we're going to get into NFL reactions like normal. And I told Kylie, well, okay, first of all, the big news, obviously, of the week has been the John Gruden deal. We're going to get to that and the things that sting. We're not going to start off with that because it's a shitty sports story. So we're going to talk about it in the shitty sports story segment. Right? Makes sense. But we are going to open the show with me issuing an apology to Lamar Jackson. I had doubted him for a very long time. He's starting to make me a believer. I guess he has made me a believer. Not going to say elite yet, although I did say that in our group text, Kylie. I did not mean that. But he was 37 of 43 for 442 yards. 16 points there, they scored in the fourth quarter to come back and beat the Colts. Is it a fluke or is it development?
I still don't. I'm not a believer.
You're not a believer yet?
No.
Okay.
I got to see some more consistency with him. Like if he has like multiple games in a row, like 3-4 games in a row, I just as a passer, like a game like this was a very impressive game.
It was super impressive.
I'm not going to deny that, but I have yet to see him have performances like this, like on a consecutive basis.
Yeah,
it's like very few and far between.
Well, and Colin Cowherd, I listened to him quite a bit, and he was saying how the team still isn't great, which I agree with. I don't think the Ravens are a complete football team by any means. I mean, if you look at what is it, the Lions 66-yard record-breaking field goal that could have been a loss easily. The Colts with a big lead blow it, could have been another loss. They aren't playing complete games, and they're relying a lot on Lamar to bring them back into games. But I think when you get on it, against a team, and call me a homer, everybody's going to, but like the Bills, who are going to keep the foot on the gas, coming back isn't necessarily, something that's going to be in the realm of possibility. But more on Lamar, I don't know if you saw the stat. He has 1,860 total yards between his rushing and throwing, and that is more than 18 NFL teams. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
I did see that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like I said, not sold on the team. The Lions, Colts, the win against the Chiefs is starting to look worse for them. At the beginning of the season, or what was it, week 2, week 3 that they beat the Chiefs, it looked like that was, a super impressive victory. But the more we watch the Chiefs, the more we're like, something ain't right going on in Kansas City right now. But they got the Chargers this week. The Ravens do. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that one in the 3-bagger because that's one of my picks. But which side I'm going, I'm not saying yet. You'll have to wait for the 3-bagger show to hear that. But yeah, just not sold on the team, the Ravens. But Lamar, I feel like I've been super critical of just straight up calling him a running back, and clearly a running back's not going to throw for 442 yards, completing 30. He had 6 incompletions on 43 attempts. Mm-hmm. That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying that I think he's bad. I'm just saying I'm not a complete believer of him as a passer yet, based off of him having one good game. And I know he's had other good games in the past, but I want to see him have multiple games like this, like consecutive, 3 out of 4 games where he is throwing the ball like this.
In a complete game. I mean, he really, the majority of those numbers came in the second half.
Before I'm a believer of him as a passer,
right.
I guess, I just want to see some more consistency with it. And he's very dynamic in everything he does. And obviously he's a very good player. I would never doubt that, but I think he needs to be more consistent as a passer still yet. And I haven't seen that yet for them to make a deep playoff run.
I agree with
against
that.
Good teams.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like,
and that's what I said. Like when I said, a team like Buffalo, who, if they get behind, it's over. Like they're not going to, because Buffalo's not going to quit trying to score. Whereas the Colts seem to lay down a little bit. Things just stop going their way. But you got to keep scoring. I mean, it's the name of the game. Speaking of elite quarterbacks, the Bills roll the Chiefs. The refs attempted to make that game unwatchable.
There was a lot of flags both ways.
17 total, 10 against Buffalo, 7 against Kansas City, and that's what was accepted. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot of penalties.
Yeah, it was in both ways.
It was both ways.
Yeah, but it was just a ton. It was like, holy cow.
But then Mahomes' girlfriend, wife, whatever she is on there and saying that the refs are never in our favor. I'm like, they threw 10 flags on Buffalo. That's 3 more than they threw on Kansas City. Mm-hmm. So she may need, maybe an eye appointment or some shit. But hour-long rain delay.
Lightning delay. Yeah.
That was not good for my liver.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was nothing else to do.
It was very interesting. Did you see, while that was going on and McDermott came out and they interviewed him and stuff?
No. Well, about the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
No.
Oh, no, then I did not.
When McDermott came out and they
no, I didn't.
Yeah, because it was going on, and he walked out, and the one lady interviewed him from NBC, and she asked him about it, and he's like, it's just really small in there, and it's like hotter than hell in the locker room. And,
yeah.
And he said that the guys are just ready to get back out on the field.
And there was video of the guys sitting in the hallway, like the tunnel.
Around. Yeah, and they were like walking.
And then, did you hear about the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Yeah, I did.
That they were complaining that the ratio was like 70-30, too much peanut butter. But then they said, and the reporter for ESPN said, and I quote, "The Bills did say that the oranges were fire." This is ridiculous stuff. But like I said in 3-bagger last week, Bills were my pick because of their defense. I knew the offense was going to score, but I thought it would come down to which defense could make more stops. And, Micah Hyde pick 6, deflating. Greg Russo, while they're in the red zone, which was a phenomenal play by the longest human being I've probably ever seen, I think. He's so big. And, deflects the pass, catches it himself.
That's what I was going to say. It was even more than just defensive stops. It was you can say Kansas City's defense is playing bad, which it's not playing good. Don't get me wrong, but they're missing their best player on defense, Chris Jones, and their top corner, Javarius Ward, for one thing. And 2, they turned the ball over 4 times. So, right. That's hard on a defense.
You ain't going to win a game.
Some everybody is all over their defense, but at some point you turn the ball over 4 times, that's never good on a defense either. Somebody's got to, some of it falls down on the offense too for turning the ball over that much. You can't just do that.
So the to win. Bills improved to 4-1 with a plus 108 point differential.
It's like 40 more than the next team, which
46 more than the second best team being the Cardinals, and they are plus 62. And the Bills have a loss, right? Which is insane. Here's a crazy stat. I don't know if you saw this. Opponents are 3.5% more likely to turn the ball over on a possession against Buffalo than they are to score.
I did see that. Yeah.
So opponents have turned the ball over on 22.8% of their possessions against Buffalo, and opponents have scored 19.3%. That's crazy that you're more likely to turn the ball over to the Bills than you are to score on them. This defense is just playing out of their heads right now.
Without maybe their best player, Matt Milano.
Right. Yeah. Looks like he'll be back this week is what McDermott was saying.
I'm glad they sat him out. I said that I wanted him to. I'd rather, if he's not 100%, just sit him out. And especially in the division they're in, I think they can kind of roll with that this year. Like, if a guy's not 100%, just sit him out. It's looking like they got a pretty good strangle on the division,
Yeah.
One other thing that was the big thing to me that stood out the most at the beginning of the game in the first half and was the way that they were running Allen, and they really
the first drive.
Yeah, and they did it more throughout too, but they were using that like triple option run game with him big time.
And the hurdle for the first down.
Yeah, that was good. That was second half,
huge play. Yep. Yeah. That was a huge play.
But they ran the ball more than they passed it in this game, which they've only done. I looked back; they've only done that 4 times in like the last 3 years.
So all under Dable,
right? Yeah, and this is 2 games in a row now. They've run the ball more. They had 28 runs and 26 passes, and also last week, I'm not sure on the numbers, but they ran the ball more than they passed. So back-to-back games, they've run the ball, and they've only done it 4 times in like the last 3 years.
They keep scoring over 35, 34 points a game or whatever it is. I don't care how they get it done.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's just, it's interesting because,
just from what they were last year.
Yeah. And everybody kind of knows them as
pass attack.
Yeah. Passing 40 times a game.
Right.
But they've been running the ball with Allen a lot and stuff. And
so we'll move on. Browns lose 47-42 to the Chargers. The over-under in that game was 47. So the Chargers covered that by themselves, and the Browns damn near did also. So under bettors in that game, show yourselves, because I'd like to have a talk with you. Dan Campbell.
Oh,
you got more on the Browns?
Yeah, In that game, I mean, the
Chargers are good. Browns are pretty good too.
The Chargers are good, but their run D's really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, really bad. I mean, the Browns pretty much ran at will against them. I mean,
runs too.
The only reason they lost the game is because it came down to time and they couldn't run the ball anymore. Really, they had to pass. They had to turn to the pass, and the Chargers had the lead. But did you see the Chargers' last touchdown?
I did, but refresh my memory.
When Eckler scored, they there was they
pushed him in.
They carried it, literally picked him up, and two guys,
which was a smart play.
Carried him in. I had never seen that before in my life.
That was a smart play.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it was smart. But literally, they two guys picked up. He went to go take a knee.
Yeah,
and picked them up.
Yeah, I did see that.
Carried him into the end zone, and it was wild. But the Browns had a lot of injuries in this game too. I think Garrett got hurt, right? And I think maybe Ward. I can't remember. They had.
I have an injury list here.
They had 2 or 3 guys on defense get hurt, and that didn't help them much either in this game.
Greedy Williams, Denzel Ward, Jack Conklin.
Ward,
yeah. Am I safe to move on to the psychopath now?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell, full-blown crying at his press conference because it hurts his feelings to see NFL players working really hard to win a game. They just can't. It's Detroit, man. If you thought things were going to go incredibly differently this year, you need some time because
I mean, for me, I'm surprised that they've been in some
games,
of the games they've been in, honestly. So honestly, for me,
they have a good
in a
run
way,
game.
I think it is going a little differently than what I thought.
I guess, that's true.
They've been fighting hard in these games, and they
just can't close them out.
They lose heartbreakers every week.
Well, 66-yarder like we talked about with the Ravens.
Brutal.
I mean, that alone. But I don't know, man. Dan Campbell's got some issues, I think. Between the opening press conference when he got hired, where he was you remember that, where he was like,
he's very passionate.
We'll punch him in the knee, then we'll get up and we'll punch him in the mouth. And then when they knock us down, we'll get up again. Yeah.
Maybe overly, people would say. I mean, maybe even, but he's very passionate. There's no doubt about that.
I think that's a good word to describe him. Green Bay, Bengals, 25-22. Everybody wanted to win that game except for the kickers. Mason Crosby had a real rough go at it at the end of that game. And he missed an extra point early.
As well as the Bengals kicker.
Right. But Crosby missed 4 in the second half or something like that. Or 4 for the game. I can't remember exactly. But the Bengals I think they're ahead of schedule.
I mean, I picked them to not finish last in that division, if you remember.
I do. Because of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And right now that's looking good. Jamar Chase is an absolute stud.
What happened between preseason and now, where he gives me this quote where I could make fun of him for the rest of his life?
I mean,
and then all of a sudden he is one of the probably up in the league. I mean definitely leading all rookies.
He hadn't played football all year last year too, So I mean,
he's smoking rookies for
an absolute stud.
Receiving.
I mean, he's unbelievable. Burrow had that throat contusion. Did you see?
Well, did you see the play where he didn't slide and should have?
No, I missed the play.
He got lit up.
Did he?
I mean, he was out for a play because he got smoked, and that's what Aaron Rodgers came out with a quote this week where they were give advice to Joe Burrow, and he's like, "Slide. You're too athletic. You're too good. You have a bright future. Don't blow it because you want an extra yard or 2."
Yep.
Which, coming from a guy who's broke his collarbone 4 different seasons. Do you have any more individual games you want to get to before I go to week 5 injuries?
That Bengals game, I thought it was really funny when the Bengals kicker thought he made
the pre-celebration, premature celebration. Doinks to the left upright.
It didn't even hit it. It went over top of it, hit the flag.
Oh, it hit the flag. That's right. Yeah. There's so many missed kicks this week that I can't remember
that was
which
wild.
one's which.
He started celebrating, jumped on his one offensive lineman. But that last those when we're watching Red Zone, and that was one of the best ones ever that I've seen. But that last half hour, I think the 2 Red Zone guys, they always call it the witching hour. There, the fourth quarters of of those 1 o'clock games because there's like 9 games going on and they're all coming to a close at the same time, And in that one was one of the best ones I've ever seen. There was so much going on. They were in the 4 box like the whole time. And there was like, it was just like going to this kick, going to this kick, going to this play. And it was just like all over the place.
For the red zone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was wild. And all those Green Bay and Cincinnati missed kicks were going on.
So I got some good reactions on here. We'll throw a couple of them up. Joe Sperveri says 2 terrible calls at the end of the game sealed the victory for the Chargers. I don't think I was watching closely enough to identify those. Were you?
There was a pretty bad pass interference, I believe, was one of them, and I don't remember the other one, I guess, but I think there was a pass interference.
And staying on the theme of the Browns, Tori Means says only in 2021 would a guy try not to score twice, then get tossed in the end zone by the D on purpose. Heads up play by the Browns, but quite comical. Staley asked if it's legal. Which Staley would that be? Oh, Brandon, the coach of the Chargers, which we're going to get to him in a little bit because I'm really starting to develop a little man crush on that dude. Yeah, no, it was definitely a heads-up play because the only chance the Browns had, if they're prepping for the kick and running the clock out, then that's ball game. So that was a heads-up play by the Browns for sure. Going on to Bengals, Packers, Brian Lastman said, never leave it up to idiot kickers. Accurate. And Hunter Geckel says, no, Daniel Jones got smoked. Dude was drooling. He did, but Joe Burrow got smoked too. And it was on a play where he should have slid, but chose not to. More games. Do you got more games to get to?
Yeah, actually, I'll touch on that one. The Cowboys won in big fashion again. Now, the Giants had a ton of injuries in that game.
Like everyone.
The Cowboys won 44-20, but yeah, Daniel Jones concussion.
And it was bad.
It was really bad.
He was walking off the field.
It was really bad. He's probably not going to play this week, I don't think. They were saying.
Well, from what I read today, Joe Judge says he's on track.
Oh, okay.
And actually was in an interview with the press yesterday and said Daniel Jones will be a non-participant, and one of the reporters could see the field and was like, Joe, he's right there throwing a football in full uniform. He's full pads throwing a football. So I don't know if they might be a concussion protocol violation for the Giants that just got literally thrown out by a reporter. But yeah, so.
Yeah, and then Barkley, another ankle injury for him, looked really nasty. He's definitely out for a few weeks, probably. But
and Golladay.
And Kenny Golladay, yep, also banged up again for him. Their rookie that they drafted in the first round, Kadarius Toney, he might be up there with Jamar Chase. I mean, he's really come out the last like 2 or 3 weeks. He started out slow, wasn't getting a lot of reps and stuff, but man, he looks fucking good. I mean,
he blasted somebody in the face.
He did get ejected, in this game, but so he's got maybe one of these crazy receivers they might have on their hands, but he seems like he might be a stud, though. That kid.
Any more?
Yeah. The Bears. They were one of my 3 baggers this week, which I brought up. I said that they started out 1-2, and the Raiders started out 3-0, and they could come out of this game with the same record.
And they did.
Yep. And things are really going south in Vegas now with what you said, and they've lost 2 in a row, and they got the Broncos this week. That could be a loser leaves town match there. Really,
it's
for both of those
division matchup. They're both about, I'd say, evenly.
And they both started out 3-0 and have lost 2 straight, I believe.
Right.
Yep. And the Bears. Do you know who they play this week?
Shit. I do, but now I can't remember.
The Packers,
yeah, that's right.
For first place. The Bears can be in first place if they win this week.
And then Nagy's going to look like a genius.
Imagine 2 weeks ago thinking that.
Well, it's because of Belazer.
Right.
Yeah. Belazer.
That's pretty. I mean, they were 1-2 coming off one of their worst losses in maybe franchise history.
I don't think there's any way they win this weekend, though.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, the Packers
haven't been overly impressive.
No, they're banged up. I mean, they're missing their best corner, one of the best corners in the league, and Alexander, and they still don't have Bakhtiari back. They're starting left tackle. So, I mean, they're a little banged up.
Darius Smith too. They're stud linebacker.
Right. Yep, he's out too. Yeah, they got a bunch of injuries right now. I mean, they can get healthy and get better, but they're limping along a little bit right now. Arizona squeaked out a close one against San Francisco, 17-10. Wasn't their most impressive performance like they have been previous weeks, but they got another win. I did see Kyler, though. I was watching that game, and I'm wondering maybe it might have had something to do with them not being as explosive. He was like doing like the shoulder wind up.
Something sore.
Yeah, which I've brought up last year that I brought up before on the podcast that last year.
He's made of glass.
Well, that's what it was last year, was his shoulder.
Little frame.
His shoulder got banged up last year, and you hope that that same shoulder isn't bothering him again, because that seemed to slow him down a lot last year. New Orleans took care of business in Washington, 33-22. The Washington defense, I mean,
not as good as last year.
I think it was over advertised. A lot of things, like the second half of the year, they had one of the easiest schedules in the league. Like if you look at the list of quarterbacks they played, I think that their defense got way overrated from that. And because coming into now this year, they have not been very good, that defense. And did you see that Hail Mary right before half?
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Pathetic.
I was obviously I took Washington in the 3-bagger last week, so
yeah,
didn't pan out.
Yeah. Philadelphia won in Carolina 21-18. That one hurts for Carolina.
Carolina dropped 2 straight now too. Yeah, Cowboys and
yep.
So they went from 3-0 to 3-2.
Yeah, that one feels like one that could sting for them. That
later on
they feel like they could have had that one. Yeah. You know. But Philadelphia, Miles Sanders. I don't know if you saw at the end of that game, Philadelphia had the ball, just trying to like run out the clock, and he ran out of bounds 2 plays in a row. And the one coach, like the running back, came over and grabbed him by the helmet.
Good.
And like was screaming,
"Get him out of there!"
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You got it.
He's like, after he did it the first time,
you've been playing football that long. I don't understand how that even ever happens.
Yeah,
you know what you need to do in that situation.
Yeah, that was something there. And then New England with a big comeback against Houston. Man, they looked like they were going to drop that one for a while. Which you were all over that one with the Patriots offensive linemen. Bunch of them missed.
4 of them out.
Yeah, but they did come back and steal it, but
didn't cover.
But no, they didn't cover. No, but that was a struggle for them. They definitely were struggling blocking in that game.
Kylie and I are officially joining the Mills Mafia.
Yeah, he had a good game in this one. 21-29 for 312 yards.
I hope he works out. Just because I like saying Mills Mafia, and Houston's. They're like, you just kind of feel bad for them at this point with all the shit they're going through. So it'd be nice if they hit on a draft pick,
right?
He plays all right enough to win.
Speaking of the rookie QBs, like if you were to like re-rank them right now, I think they'd probably go pretty close to the same order. I don't know. Like if you think about it, I don't think there's much change yet, really.
No, I mean, Mac Jones and Lawrence obviously have the most exposure,
right?
But neither of them have been. Great, but they're rookies. It's one of those things, and
you got to give them some time. Yeah,
right.
I mean, we've seen we have all people would know with Josh Allen. It took till year 3 before the big breakout, really. So,
right.
I think you got to give these guys some time. Like, I wouldn't be giving up on any of these guys.
No, Coward was all pissed off because Robert, what's his last name? Salah, yeah, compared Wilson to Josh Allen.
Yeah, because he has got similar stats to the rookie year,
right? But Coward destroyed that argument with Allen looked flashy. He made had 8 rushing touchdowns, and he listed off a bunch of shit, and then was like, yeah, I think what it comes down to is Colin Coward just does not like Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. He's the new Baker for Colin.
Yeah,
because he was just like he comes from wealth, and he's 6'2", and Allen's 6'8", and just went had or 6-6, and just went on a huge kind of tangent about it. But
yeah, the other thing here is like I was going through the AFC thinking. So you got Buffalo's in pretty good control in the East. I mean, nothing you could. I mean, an injury to Allen or something could derail it. But
right, I don't even think it would that much because I don't think Trubisky would be bad.
You got Baltimore and Cleveland, so you got whatever shit team comes out of the South for 4, and then you figure the Chargers and Kansas City probably. That's 6 teams. I don't know who your 7th playoff team is going to be, but it's going to be a bad team. You know, it's probably going to be like maybe Cincinnati,
right? And you know, at first you'd think it would have come out of the West too. The way the season started,
Cincinnati, the Raiders or Broncos.
Right.
I mean, it's probably going to be one of those. Maybe Pittsburgh if they get their shit together.
There could be a team with a pretty good record in the West that doesn't make the playoffs.
I don't know. I think there could be a 8-9 team that makes the playoffs. Honestly,
I think so.
I think there's going to be a 7-10.
Well, there will be at least an 8-9 team because somebody has to win the AFC South.
The South, yeah. But I think one of the wild card teams is going to be too. To be honest,
yeah, it could be. I don't know. I think the Chiefs turn it around at some point, and I think
the Chiefs. I was already counting the Chiefs then.
So you think Denver or maybe the Raiders?
Denver, Raiders, Steelers, Bengals. Between those 4. But I think they could probably get in. One of them might get in at 8 or 9, 8-9 or 7-10.
You ready for this injury report?
Yeah.
Week 5. You were the one who actually inspired me to do this because you told me, or we were just texting. You were saying how so many fucking people got hurt in week 5. Mm-hmm. Notable names too. It's not like it
was crazy. It was like
Taysom Hill, Curtis Samuel, Damian Harris, Joe Burrow, Juju, who's out for the year. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, he already had
Devin Bush, who seems to be hurt more than he's playing, anyways. Cephas from the Lions got hurt. Justin Fields got dinged up. Max Williams, Rodney Hudson, Saquon, Galladay, Jones, Miles Jack, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then, like I said earlier, Denzel Ward, Jack Conklin, and Greedy Williams. So there's some people getting fucked up this week for sure.
Yeah, it was a brutal. It was like, yeah, I know Twitter was going nuts and stuff when I was watching the games with all the injuries blowing up.
So we got a few comments. Tori's back saying, why can't I click it? There we go. Kyler was fantastic for like 12 weeks, then hurt that shoulder, and yikes, looked like Nate Peterman in the last quarter of the year.
Yeah, that shoulder injury, and I would worry me if
I had removed Nate Peterman from my entire brain, and Tori just blew it. Thanks, Tori. Hunter's back saying New England defense is suspect as hell. Mac Jones still looks like he has potential and looks good, and Bill will be gone soon, which means Josh McDaniel probably takes over, I would think. That's his team after Bill goes.
You think so?
That's why he ditched the Colts job, 2 years ago? When he was hired, started forming a staff, and then was like, just kidding.
Do you think Bill really has any plans on leaving?
I don't know. Hunter thinks so. I just think that when Bill goes, it's Josh's job.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Mike Arnerati, Bill will be gone soon. You mean retire or die? Either one's possible. And Hunter says retire. So, all right, we're going to get on to some college football. Are you ready for that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move it on over here. I mean, there's some ridiculous games this weekend. We have number 1 Bama fallen, obviously, 41-38 to Texas Tech, Texas A&M, who is not good. They're 3-2 and went from ranked to unranked.
Preseason 6. They've had some injuries and stuff, and they haven't played well.
It's still a game Bama. Nobody would have called
absolutely. That. Yeah, they should have won. But I mean, this team obviously has a lot of talent. You know what I mean? They're preseason 6, so I mean, they haven't played well. But
number 3 Iowa defeats Penn State 23-20. Obviously, the Clifford injury had everything to do with that. Taquan Roberson, 7-21 for 2 interceptions. How the fuck is he the number 2?
I saw that kid play one drive, and I hit the money line.
Yeah, you did. You cashed in nice on Iowa money line on a live bet. The most annoying part of this game were the Iowa fans rushing the field after the game. You're the number 3 team, and you beat the number 4 team. You were the favorite, like 3 points, 3.5 points, whatever it was, and you rushed the field. It didn't really sit well with a lot of Penn State fans, understandably so, and fans booing during injuries, which Timmy actually showed me a video the other day of the one guy like holding his shoulder and pretending to cry, and that was when Jaquan Brisker got hurt again or whatever. And Iowa coach actually came to the defense of the fans, saying that he thought they were basically taking dives to cut momentum. What fucking momentum did Iowa have in the first half of that game when Clifford was playing? Because I didn't see any of it. There was none. But yeah, it's an unfortunate, go at it for Penn State, because especially with Bama falling, you have an opportunity to really launch yourself up toward the top. Of course, Georgia's going to take over 1, but Cincinnati, which is a team I like watching because I like this group of 5 that comes in and now ranked 3rd in the country. They rout Temple, and that's what they have to do. And that was, I was kind of listening. I was watching that game, and that's what the announcers were saying too, is that if Cincinnati wants to be taken seriously, they basically have to kick the shit out of everybody. Like, you can't have a close game at this point. And there's, schedules favorable, obviously, but that is the highest rank that Cincy has had in the school's program history also, which is pretty cool. So get to the top 10. Georgia 1, Iowa 2, Cincy 3, Oklahoma 4, which they're having some quarterback controversy heading into this week since Spencer got benched.
Caleb Williams looked really good. That kid's supposed to be a stud.
Bama drops to 5. Ohio State jumps Penn State and lands at number 6. Penn State 7, Michigan 8, Oregon 9, Michigan State 10. So half of the top 10 is represented by the Big Ten, which is pretty cool. That's all I got for college football.
Yeah. The Big Ten, they might have a leg up on the SEC this year a little bit. Seems like so far. I mean, it's early in the year yet, but they're looking pretty strong. I mean, SEC's got some losses now, and the Ole Miss Arkansas game was a hell of a game too. I don't know if you saw any of that one, but that one.
So I went to a turkey party Saturday in Garland, and that is no service at all. I didn't even know what was going on in the Penn State game, really, because of that, which interesting decision I made on a Saturday with college football, and especially the Penn State Iowa game. But that was a good time. But couple comments here. Brian Lastman says Iowa fans embarrass themselves. I guess that's what happens when you aren't used to winning. And he declares himself a Penn State fan. But yeah, no, Lass, I agree with that for sure. It was hard to watch them act kind of just like it was the national championship when you're the favorite to win a game. And I don't know. I just didn't set well with me either. And I'm a half-assed Penn State fan because I don't have a favorite college team. If I had to pick one, it would be them, but I don't religiously follow any of them. I just love watching college football. So real quick, other notes before we get to Kylie, the baseball guy. Tyson Fury KOs Wilder in the 11th round, moves to 3-0 against Wilder. I think that trilogy? I think that's it. I think that's going to be done. Although
there will be 3 good fights. I mean,
they were, but I think at some point, don't you think it? If it was like 2-1, maybe then they.
Yeah, I didn't get to see this one, but I heard people talk about it, and that Wilder could have easily gone down in the 5th, 6th round, and he just kept.
He's a beast. There's no doubt about that.
They said
Wilder's an animal.
Yeah, it's just Fury's just a better fighter technically technically better fighter, but yeah, very impressive from what people said by Wilder to even stick in that fight that long, and he's just got a hell of a chin on him. And
Ready for my NHL update? Since we still don't have a hockey guy or girl, still waiting for Kelly Fisher to confirm if she's going to be the hockey girl or not. Hell of a resume. 2013, 2014 fantasy champ. NHL update. The Kraken lose their own one. That's it. They lost to Vegas.
Yep.
4-3. They scored. They
were down
game,
3-0.
Yeah, they made it a game.
Yeah, they were down 3-0.
They were ready.
And came back and
so yeah, they played tonight in Nashville. So now we're on to Kylie, the baseball guy.
Yeah, we're almost done with the divisional series here. Start with the National League. The Braves beat the Brewers in 4 games. Wasn't a real exciting series. There wasn't a lot of runs scored.
I was cheering for the Braves.
Yeah, I didn't really have much.
I don't like the Brewers.
I didn't really
like that
care
one
much
guy's
in this
face,
series.
Yelich.
Both of these teams are pretty underwhelming, I think, but the Braves are pretty impressive with everything they've lost a lot this year. I mean, no Acuna, and they've been banged up. They put together, and then Soler got hurt in the series too. They went out and picked up a lot of guys at the trade deadline this year, and they're hanging tough. I mean, they're going to the ALCS now or NLCS now, sorry.
Right.
And they're waiting on tonight. We have a big game.
Go Giants.
On the other series, game 5. Yep.
If the Dodgers and the Yankees are both eliminated, that's a good day.
Dodgers at Giants. Logan Webb against Julio Urias. Logan Webb has not lost since May 5th. He's 10-0 since May 5th, and
he pitched game 1.
He pitched game 1 of this series, which the Giants won. I think 1-0 or 2-0, something like
dealing.
That. He's got. If you watch the game tonight, you'll watch him. He's got one of the most incredible sinkers. He's a sinker ball pitcher, and the thing has so much movement on it. It's crazy. And that's what he rides with, and that's what. But he's 10-0 since May 5th, and the Giants in his starts are 18-2. And Urias for the Dodgers has not lost since June 21st either. He's 11-0 since then, and the Dodgers are 15-2. So a heck of a pitching matchup here.
Who you got? Tori wants to know who you got in game 5.
I like Logan Webb. He's from what I saw at him in game 1. If he comes out pitching like he did in that one, he's unhittable. I mean, and he's just been dominant for the last 3-4 months.
I'm Dodgers all the way. No, Giants. See, this is one of those moments where we realized that we both worked night shift.
I already put a bet in last night on a pretty heavy bet in last night on the Giants. So
did you?
I'm riding the Logan Webb train. Yep. So,
what'd you take? -1.5?
No, I took the money line.
Are they dogs? Is it plus money?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So
it was pretty much even. The money lines were pretty much even. They were -116, and the Dodgers were negative like 102 or something. It was pretty much. They're pretty much saying it's
that
even.
Is
with this pitching matchup. I think that's
right. Yeah, you kind of have to go that way if you're Vegas. Yeah, I'm hardcore Dodger. Or Jesus, why do I keep saying that? Giants. I want the Dodgers gone.
For sure.
I was telling Kylie earlier. I got.
I mean they spend all the money.
Whole bunch of people amped up on MLB on Fox from the podcast page.
The high payroll teams are obviously going to be rooted against by the rest of the general.
Well, no, I just hate the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I hate anybody.
They're the half-season champs.
I hate anybody that's a high payroll team. I mean, that's just the way it always is. I mean, that's why I hate the Yankees too.
And you're a Buccos fan, and they're never high payroll.
Yeah, I mean,
the Astros are getting up there a little bit, aren't they? Do you hate them?
I don't think that they're anywhere near the Dodgers and Yankees.
Answer the question.
They're not anywhere near the Yankees and Dodgers.
You could hate them. It's okay. Everybody else does.
They didn't sign
trash
Cole.
throws.
They didn't sign Cole, so I don't think they're up that much anymore.
White Sox
they
fans.
let Cole and Springer go, so they can't be up there too much.
No, and I miss George, especially right now, playoff time. This is where he tends to shine.
Yeah, they can't be up there that high. Nothing with like those teams. And in the American League, the Red Sox, man. Nobody, they knock off the Rays. Nobody would have thought in 4 games too. and the Rays took game 1, and the Red Sox went and won 3 in a row after that. Game 2 was the big one to me. The Rays went up 5-2 in the bottom of the first. Jordan Luplow hit that grand slam, and everybody was like, everybody thought that the Rays were just going to roll, and the Red Sox came back and won that game, and that comeback in that game, I think that swung that whole series.
It's two hot offenses going into the ALCS.
Yes, two very hot.
The Astros
offenses
are hitting the shit out of the ball too right now,
and I mean, that game 3 was a wild one too. I don't know if did you see that ground rule double?
Yes, that hit off
the guy and went over. That
what
was
should
very
the ruling of that?
That was the right ruling.
It was.
I guess, yeah. It actually
wasn't a 4-base award like it would have been at Betts Park.
It actually happened to the Rays last year or the year before, actually. So it had happened before to them too. I don't know if it's a good rule, but it was called correctly. That's the way it was supposed to be called. But yeah, they come through and get it. Kike Hernandez with the walk-off sac fly to clinch the series, the ex-Dodger. There's a lot there, really, with the Dodgers and Red Sox. It seems like there's a big storyline there setting up a little bit to me almost with the Mookie trade
so
and Kike Hernandez. I'm not saying
a little foreshadowing.
It just seems like there's a lot lining up there with the Kike Hernandez.
That's why I want the Dodgers out.
Verdugo, I really like Verdugo too. I like that kid. He's just a gritty. He's a perfect Red Sox. He's got the beard, and he was part of that Mookie trade. Verdugo was so I mean it just seems like there's a big storyline lining up there to me. But
Honorati just said because I called the Dodgers the half-season champs. He says half-season champs kind of like you're a half-round champ in golf. I did beat you on the back. We don't need to talk about the front. It's irrelevant. What else you got? Astros.
Yeah, I'll let you take that series.
Cool.
It's your boys.
Yeah, I got a little nervous after the game 3, when they went into Chicago and lost game 3. But
you texted me and said you thought they were in trouble.
A little nervous. Yeah, you always bring me back down to earth, though, when I get worried about stuff. But no, just the pitching still concerns me a little bit, especially now because McCullers probably won't be available till game 2, I would think, because he pitched
maybe
2 days ago. So what are they doing? Well, it would be 3 days.
7-game series,
yeah.
So still get the pitch.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the hitting was just really impressive. Kyle Tucker is red hot right now. Altuve's hitting the ball well. They just, that was the issue with Chicago was just keeping up with I mean, they lost the game they lost. They had scored 6 runs, which is pretty good in a, whatever regular kind of game. If you score 6 runs, you're probably in it. So like I said, pitching still concerns me. I have to look
because bullpen's been pitching well though. I've thought
I got to figure out what's going on with Greinke. Is he going to be back?
I think they're just not using him. I think they're just sticking with those younger guys.
Your Quiddy and Garcia.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
It's going to be a fun series. I think it kicks off tomorrow night, right?
I think
it's Friday, Saturday, game 1 and 2. Houston has home field, which is good.
Did you see what Ryan Tepera said? The White Sox after he said game 3,
he thought they were trying to steal signs again.
Well, he said after game 3, because the White Sox won that game 3, like you said,
12-6.
Big, yeah, they scored a bunch of. He said it's funny how they quit hitting when we're in Chicago. He said,
"Oh yeah," and then they put up 10 on them the next day or 2 days later because of the delayed game. But
yeah, and that was just like holy fuck. And then a bunch of the Astros were all pissed off about it.
Yeah, I know. Because
understandably, I mean,
well, they were like after that too. That comment was made. They were talking about their numbers and even the broadcast I noticed was showing like Bregman what he does at home.
Their home and away splits are very similar.
Yeah. And in most of cases they're better on the road than they are at home. So yeah.
So Astros, Red Sox, and whoever wins tonight Hopefully the Giants against the Braves.
I like that. If Giants Braves would be a cool NLCS because the Giants obviously they were like in and out of there every other year for when was that? Back in like 2010 or around that time they were steady showing their face in the playoffs and in the World Series.
I'd be surprised if the Braves have a chance against either of those teams. You never know, but
I would say
it would be an impressive run if they won that, if they got to the World Series with how much they've lost.
That wrap it up?
Yeah.
We're going to take our first break. So the opening segment, again, this week's opening segment is brought to you by Napoli's. Hungry watching the game? Call Napoli's 814-723-7455. Open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Located in North Warren. Pickup or delivery available. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with This Week in Sports History.
Hungry? Watching the game? Order some Napoli's Pizza, voted the best pizza in the Times Observer Reader's Choice every year. Homemade, hand-tossed, delicious hot pizza, stromboli, salads, subs, and so much more. Located in North Warren, come on in or call 814-723-7455 and ask about our specials. Pickup or delivery available 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Again, that's 814-723-7455.
Hi, this is Brian Hagberg, and I wanted to take a moment and tell you about our new website, yourdailylocal.com. Your Daily Local is your new home for news, sports, and events in Warren County and beyond. Our goal is to cover the people, places, events, and happenings that matter to you in a variety of ways, including writing, video, and audio. And the best part? All of our content is available for free. Head to yourdailylocal.com to get the news you need when you need it.
Let's take a look back at this week in sports history.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This Week in Sports History is brought to you by Your Daily Local. Visit yourdailylocal.com for the news you need when you need it. First time doing sports history live. I think this will be fun. We're starting off with number one in 1908. Upset over seating arrangements at the World Series, sports reporters form a professional group that becomes the Baseball Writers of America, who are the dickheads who dictate who gets into the hall or not. So that cult was formed all the way back in 1908, which I was unaware of. Moving on to number 2. 1909. Ty Cobb steals home in a World Series game. I added this one on here because of Mr. Cocktober, Randy Arozarena, because he did that in what, game 1?
Hit a home run and stole home
in
that game,
which was an awesome.
It's the first time it's ever happened in a playoff.
That they did both.
Mm-hmm.
It was impressive. That text was killing me though when he said that. Randy's back.
Yeah,
Mr. Cocktober.
Yep, and now they're eliminated now.
Yeah, heading home. All right, we're on number 3. In 1920, the Phoenix Cardinals play in their first NFL game, which is a 0-0 tie. So they actually weren't the Phoenix Cardinals then in 1920. It has Chicago in parentheses, but they were actually Racine.
A 0-0 tie?
Correct.
Against who?
The Chicago Tigers. So I've only ever been to one NHL hockey game, and that was when ties were allowed, and it was in Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and I was probably like 17, 16.
Oh, wait.
And it was a 0-0 tie.
You said the Phoenix Cardinals, I thought.
Yeah, this is a football game.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about 0-0 ties.
I thought confused me when you started talking about
hockey. Yeah, no, this was a football game. A 0-0 tie. The Racine Cardinals, who would later become the Phoenix Cardinals, and now the Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Chicago Tigers, 0-0 tie. Number 4, we're in 1925. Albert Mickelson runs a world record marathon, 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 1 second. Do you have any idea what the current record would be?
What was his 2 hours 19?
Yep, 2:19 and 1 second.
1:52.
2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds. And guess which country the guy's from who owns that record? We talked about this last week. Kenya, of course. They're the fucking best runners in the world. That's why I said when they were making a big deal about them finishing, first, second, third, not a big deal. They're the New England Patriots of distance running.
Yeah, I know that they're very good. I guess it's something that I'd have to look into if it's normal for them to all finish 1, 2, 3. I guess I don't know if that.
They fucking should. If they send 3 guys, they should all finish 1, 2, 3.
I don't know if it's normal or not. I don't follow.
Seems normal.
I don't follow marathon running. So
you need to start. All right, we're at number 5, 1961. The MLB expansion draft is held to stock 2 new teams, the New York Mets and the then Houston Colt 45s, which would become the Astros in 65. I need to buy a new Colt 45s hat. That actually reminded me of this. So we're on to number 6. 1979. Future NBA Hall of Famer Magic Johnson makes his Laker debut in a 103-102 win over the San Diego Clippers. Added this one for 2 reasons. 1, Magic Johnson's debut, which is cool. But 2, I never knew that the Clippers were in San Diego in the 70s. So here's something even more interesting. Before they moved to San Diego, they were the Buffalo Braves, which I never knew Buffalo had a...
Oh, you didn't?
I never knew that.
I knew that. Yeah.
No. So the Buffalo Braves, 1970. In 78, they moved to San Diego and become the San Diego Clippers. In 84, the owner moved them to Los Angeles without NBA approval. Just fucking did it. All right. 1989. Oops, I didn't click it. There we go. 1989. The first NFL game coached by an African-American, Art Shell, of the Raiders. Thought that was pretty relevant to what's currently happening that we're going to get into in the next segment. 14-7 win over the Jets, which makes sense. The Jets are terrible. 1989. Oh, I'm sorry, 1991. See, this is the midnight shift starting to catch up to me here. 1991. Boxer Hector Camacho arrested for driving while receiving oral sex. So, probably anybody who's listening right now a little nerved up. Didn't think that was a crime. It is. So, keep in your pants. People are distracted
that's
enough.
That's not state. That's nationwide.
I think it'd just be under careless driving, right?
Right. Yeah. Probably.
There's no like actual roadhead section in the.
It's good to know.
Yeah. We're on to 1992. Deion Sanders plays for the Falcons and the Braves in the same day. There's some guys in the NFL who could do that right now. Kyler.
Mm-hmm.
Russ.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Josh Allen. He could probably pitch. Just throw 109. Smoke. Last one. 2003. Fan Steve Bartman deflects the ball away from Moises Alou. The Cubs gave up 8 runs in the inning to lose 8-3 to the Marlins. That is actually today. So that's what? 18 years ago today.
That's crazy. That was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
And to my knowledge, what I could find, he's still in hiding. The Cubs did offer him a World Series ring from the year they beat the Indians. I'm sorry, the Guardians. I can still call them the Indians then. They can't make me do that. They can't make me change that.
You can still call them the Indians now.
Well, I'm probably going to. But I'm not going to like go back in time and say that everything they did then was under the Guardians, because it wasn't.
What are they gonna? I mean, what are they gonna do? Come confiscate all everybody's Indians merchandise?
Jobu,
They want to come take.
I got a flag or a pennant back there. I have a
That'll be
Chief
next.
Wahoo hat.
They want to come take all our guns. Then they'll want to come take all of our Indians and Redskins gear.
Shit, I got a little mini helmet of Redskins over there. Yeah, I got some paraphernalia in this place.
Yeah, they're
Serious.
coming for you. Yeah.
Wonder what the grading is going to be on that crime. Federal offense.
Yeah.
So Bartman though, but they offered him a World Series ring. Like they're welcoming him back, and from what I've gathered, he's just still kind of like. I mean, that dude went through some shit after that though.
There's a good 30 for 30 on that.
I mean, they blew up the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs literally put it on the field in a box with explosives and blew it up. Like, if you're, I mean, it's nice that they're welcoming him back now and offering him a World Series ring, which is crazy. But, I mean, he probably doesn't forget the time you stuck TNT in a box with a baseball that he tried to catch. Probably still stings a little bit, I would think.
And you know what ignited that more than anything? Was Moises Alou's reaction.
Correct. And the fact that they totally ignore the fact that, like, the next pitch was a pass ball, or I can't remember the order, but the shortstop made
Alex Gonzalez
huge error, and then a pass ball. Which who was pitching? Kevin Brown? No, because he was for the Marlins.
Was it Pryor?
Might have been Pryor.
I don't remember.
Or Kerry Wood or somebody in that neighborhood. But yeah, I mean, they had that didn't lose them the game. They made an error. They had a pass ball. People like it was. Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe you can say it took the momentum, but
Mark Pryor is now do you know where he's the pitching coach now?
No,
Dodgers.
Idiot.
Pitching coach for the Dodgers.
Makes sense. Scumbag. All right. That's going to wrap up sports history. This week in sports history brought to you by Your Daily Local. Visit yourdailylocal.com for the news you need when you need it. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with the things that sting.
Jones Pest Control, your hometown pest control company servicing residential and commercial properties in Warren and surrounding areas since 2015. Sean and his crew will work tirelessly to keep your home or business free of insects to rodents and everything in between. Contact Jones Pest Control at 814-230-9548 and set up an appointment today. And remember, ants, spiders, bees, or mice, don't think twice. Call Jones Pest Control, 814-230-9548.
Checkout means sales and services with 2 locations on Warren's east side. Their garage at 800 Lexington Avenue not only services cars sold by Means, but has knowledgeable staff and modern state-of-the-art equipment waiting to serve their hometown of Warren. Whatever you need, including alignments, tires, brakes, yearly or enhanced PA inspections, oil changes, and much more. Make your appointment today at 814-723-7191, extension 2.
It's now time for the things that sting. The worst stories in sports, according to Joe.
We're about this edition of Things That Sting, powered by Jones Pest Control. Ants, spiders, bees, or mice, don't think twice. Call Jones Pest Control at 814-230-9548. That's 814-230-9548. Honorati brought up a good point. He said that he was like, how does J.R. Smith walking over a hornet's nest not go into the things that sting? It was because I wanted to throw my correction of my fatal error of PGA versus Capital One, who sanctions the match. I wanted to clear that up. So that's why, Mike. But you're right. Him walking over a hornet's nest should probably be in the things that sting, if you think about it. All right, so we're going to get going here. Old business, like we've been doing, kind of reaching back to some of the old cases to see where they're at now. Isai Toot has a court date. Grand jury, October 26th, they are going to make a decision. So to refresh everybody, if you haven't listened in the past or missed that episode, not a big deal. Isai Toot was a freshman linebacker for Virginia Tech, and in a nutshell, has a Tinder account, meets a girl named Angie on Tinder, goes to a meeting with Angie in April. Angie performs oral sex on Toot. He leaves. Then he starts, which this actually, so there's a little bit more than what I had earlier. He started to wonder if Angie was not a woman. And Angie had also hit up a couple of Toot's buddies. This is the new stuff that came out, to see if he would put in a word with them for her. Well, that's when they really start speculating that Angie's not a woman, and they arrange another meeting. Toot goes over to the residence with his 2 friends. 2 friends remained outside. He goes into the house, or the apartment, I should say, and they start slowly getting into things, and she kept hiding her face. Well, that's because she is Jerry Paul Smith, who is a man, openly gay man in Blacksburg, Virginia. Toot responds by basically killing Jerry Smith via blunt force trauma. So now we're getting into where there's some court dates. I mean, this happened back in May, I believe, end of May. So Toot's attorney asked that the second-degree murder charge be dropped and that it be amended to a manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter charge. So Toot another quote that came out was he said during his interview with police that it would have never happened if he would have known that, and he said, it never would have happened if I would have known that woman was a man. Smith's family doesn't believe that this is what happened. They don't believe that he posed as a female on Tinder. They're not buying any of it, apparently, or they don't believe he posed as a woman. However, the police have obtained through search warrants and subpoenas all the records from Tinder, from Angie's account, Etut's account, everything. So it's all kind of aligning up to be, this is exactly what happened. It's just a matter of figuring out what the appropriate charge is. And that's what we will know on October 26th. The grand jury will be releasing their decision on what the charges are going to be for Etut. So we're going to keep up with that one because that's a huge, if you Google it, you're seeing a lot more press on that now than you did before. It's starting to pick up a little bit of steam. But still, from the national level, a lot of people don't really know about that case. So it's pretty wild. Last bit of old business before we get to the old Gruden emails. Marcelo Ozuna. He reached a plea deal. So his administrative leave was extended through the playoffs. He won't be rejoining the Braves, if not this year, if ever. But on September 9th, he entered a plea deal. And I actually missed this. So I'm, like I said, I'm looking back. This happened about a month ago, or just over a month ago. He entered a plea deal, which they call a negotiated resolution, which in Pennsylvania terms, it's a plea deal. 6 months supervision, 24-week, and a 24-week family violence intervention program. So that, based off of what he was charged with, sounds like he got a pretty sweet deal. So I don't know if it's lack of cooperation from the victim could be. I don't know what the instances are, and that's something we're never going to probably find out, why felony charge was dropped to 6 months probation and a 24-week intervention. So it's one of those things. So we're going to move on to new business. And the only story we're going to discuss here, Gruden. So the emails get leaked.
Yeah, that was on what was it? Friday we found out that
I think it was before the game.
Yeah, it was Thursday or Friday. There was a report that there was an email from 10 years ago where Gruden made comments towards one of the NFL DeMaurice Smith,
the NFLPA. He's the president of the union.
Yeah, president of the union. He made some comments about him that weren't distasteful comments, basically. Right. And it was just the one that was released. And so he apologized. It was kind of in limbo because it was they played in 2 days. He still coached the team on Sunday. But then it was Monday night where the Wall Street Journal released that there was a bunch more emails and that there was more racial and anti-gay and a lot of
sexist.
Yeah, a lot of different stuff. So there was a lot of emails now. And all the time, I kept saying to you guys, I was like, how the fuck did this, where'd this come from? How did this just come out after 10 years? I was trying to figure out, I was like, what brought this up?
Right.
I was like,
was somebody hanging on to these?
This is just weird that it just came out of nowhere. I kept saying. And then we got the report that it was the investigation that we've talked
into
about
workplace misconduct for
the Washington football team.
Right.
And it uncovered Gruden's brother, Jay Gruden, worked for the Washington Redskins. And there was emails to him, to the GM, Bruce Allen.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know who else,
Yeah, 650 emails, they said, total.
But it was wild when I saw that. It was I was like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Right.
Why it all just came out. I was like, How is this all of a sudden getting released out of nowhere?
Right, and
because they weren't saying.
And the
initially.
reactions to it are what have been intriguing to me a little bit, because as far as the resignation from his job goes, listen, anybody who knows me knows that I am as anti-cancel culture as anybody you will ever meet. I think they go over the top all the time. This isn't cancel culture. This is Gruden facing consequences from his own actions. Now, they're 10 years ago, sure. Has he changed his ways since then? I don't know. I don't know the guy. But, there's a lot of players who are, and I get it. Like, I think Brandon Staley, and this is what when he was brought up earlier, I said we're going to get to him because I've watched a couple of his press conferences now on different things. Most of them were football related, obviously, but this one, if you get a chance, I shared it on the Facebook page. He says that it's a sacred mantle for someone to call you a coach or to call you a leader. And there's probably a whole hell of a lot of people right now who are feeling extremely betrayed because they thought they were getting one type of man. And then he's making comments like that in the dark. What everybody says, what happens in the dark always comes to light. And it just, I don't know. I kind of get that these people are feeling that way. I think the only one who's not feeling that way is Keyshawn Johnson, because Keyshawn claims that he thought he was a fraud all along. But that's easy for Keyshawn says a lot of things. So, but
I think Booger said that too.
Yeah. Did Booger say that he never was a Gruden guy, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and you have, I learned a lot about the Raiders too with Al Davis, who he put a lot of minorities and women up front in his organization before any other team in the league, which is just stuff that I didn't know about him. I learned that in the Mike Mayock had his press conference finally, I think it was yesterday. And that was some of the things that he noted right at the beginning of it was this isn't the Raider way. And it's just not something that any team's going to condone, but the Raiders have really kind of been pioneers in putting people up front. Like we said in sports history, Art Shell was the first African-American coach. He was, put up there by Al Davis. He had a woman in the front office who moved her way up to some sort of CEO position within the Raiders. First woman to have that position in the NFL. So for Gruden to come out and say, about the hiring women for referees, which, I don't think I've seen one who's making the calls, who's been head ref or whatever they call the guy who turns on the mic and the guy who talked too much Sunday night at the Bills-Chiefs game. But I haven't heard any gripes really about the way they're officiating or how they're, how they're performing. I haven't heard any complaints, and players can be outspoken, especially when they're heated after a game. If there was something that they had done that fucked them off, we probably would know about it by now. And then as far as, the comments about Michael Sam that he made, interesting that he could make those and then, lift up Nassib, who came out as the first openly, well, I don't think he can't be the first, but because Sam played in the NFL, but to, coach and lift up Nassib after making those comments, like I could see where Nassib's kind of like, what the fuck? Thought you were okay with all this. Now it kind of seems like you're not. So, but Staley nailed it. And he just talked about how, one quote that he had in that press conference that I was just like, fuck yeah, was when he was like, if you just talk to people and get to know them, and he, explained that as part of his job when he has an entire staff under him, an entire team under him, an entire practice squad, we all have a lot more in common than not. And that was something that Staley said that I totally agree with, is that if you just talk to people, you find that. And that's something that even, as a sergeant for a police department, I find with, not necessarily with my coworkers, but even when just dealing with the public. You could have a guy who, we see people at the worst of the worst, and if you just talk to them, you can typically find something common ground between you and that person, regardless of what's going on in their life. So I don't know. I think Staley nailed it. As far as, like I said, I think that these are Gruden not getting canceled, but facing the consequences of his actions. The cancel culture is showing their face. They're removing them from Madden. The Bucks are removing them from the Ring of Honor. And then, like I posted on the Facebook page, I think this morning or whenever I did it, OJ's name's still on the wall in Buffalo. So if the NFL is going to take this stance, this hard stance, they need to be consistent with it. That's my only gripe with the entire situation. Antonio Brown, Google some fucking YouTube videos of that guy going off, calling Mike Mayock what is being deemed as a racial slur. He called him a cracker. And that was, there's several articles about that, him using a racial slur towards him. There's a video of him motherfucking the police department down there when he had an issue with the mother of his child. So be consistent. If you're going to absolutely, eliminate one guy for doing it, you need to do it to all of them, because you can't set this standard where it's lenient here, lenient there, and then just be okay with it, or be okay with it and then just totally, like I said, eliminate another person. I just want consistency. That would be my only gripe for the whole thing. I shared the YouTube video of Cam Newton, where he literally laughs in a female reporter's face when he played for Carolina because she was asking him a question about routes that one of the receivers was running. He chuckles and goes, hearing a female talk about routes, it's just funny. Like, that's that girl's job. And she probably knows in some cases more about football than some of the guys who play it, i.e. Miles Sanders. Get out of bounds, right? It's just football IQ. But, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I have on it. Hunter said something that actually refreshed my memory, too. There was a lot of speculation that Urban Meyer was behind the release of the emails. Take the attention off of him for a little while.
Makes a couple lap dances not seem so bad, huh?
Right. Yeah. Sure. But, yeah, that again, I mean, Tim Zaffino commented on the OJ post, and I don't remember all the players he named, but Urban Meyer was on there. He made a list of guys who are still around the NFL that have been doing things to, they want the men of highest character and whatever. Then I just ask for some consistency with it. And I think that's something that the NFL is going to be probably faced with doing here real quick. So you got any more to note on the Gruden thing?
No, not really. No.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up the things that sting then. This edition of the Things That Sting, powered by Jones Pest Control. Ants, spiders, bees, or mice, don't think twice. Call Jones Pest Control at 814-230-9548. That's 814-230-9548. We'll take a break. We're going to be back with My Hive. Anybody who's listening live, make sure you're chiming in this next segment, because we're going to be going through some takes, everybody's takes for NFL through 5 weeks. Icy Ink in Warren is a great place for personalized gift ideas. They offer custom screen printing, embroidery, and specialize in youth fundraisers. Online stores are available. Check them out on Facebook or at icyink.com. That's ICYYinc.com. No setup fee for youth sports or organizations. Located on Penn Avenue East in Warren, the Blue Building by the Glade Bridge. Or call 814-688-0034. That's 814-688-0034.
Hi, this is Ryan Klein, the host of the new pop culture podcast, Me, Myself, and Ryan. You can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and several other platforms. Special guests, breakaway shows, bonus episodes, cold beers, and a whole lot more. So what are you guys and gals waiting for? Subscribe now to the Me, Myself, and Ryan podcast on Spotify or wherever it is that you get your shows and start listening today.
My Hive, Joe's very own world of sports.
This week's My Hive segment is brought to you by Icy Ink. From screen printing and embroidery to youth fundraisers and online stores, visit icyink.com. That's ICYY Inc.com or call 814-688-0034. So we are on the My Hive mailbag, last segment. We posted a couple days ago your NFL takes through 5 weeks. So I created some banners with some of them, and we're going to put them up and discuss and go from there. So we're going to start off with Bobby Pring says, we have to hear how good the Cowboys are every 5 seconds. No one cares. I don't care, but they are pretty good.
They're good, and the Cowboys, you're going to hear about them all the time. They're one of the
America's team.
Yeah, they are, and it's a national. They're just a national team. They always have been, and you're going to hear about them whether they're good or bad. Really,
that is true. Good, No, go ahead.
Now that they're good, you're going to hear about them even more. But
I think you're right on that, because when they're bad, they still get a lot of coverage.
Even mediocre.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They always do.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to Nick Pace says New York sucks, excluding Buffalo. He's right. There's nothing else I can say about that other than spot on. The Jets suck. The Giants suck. They don't play in New York, so they don't even count. And I'm with you, Nick. NFL decides who wins. This is Jake Kuzminski says NFL decides who wins through penalties. They're more of a surprise in WWE wrestling. I will never buy into. I think they can affect the game, sure, but I also think even with referees and the amount of them, like when people say the NFL's rigged, too many mouths to feed. It's impossible for that entire league to be rigged and everybody to be in on it. That is impossible. We would know, because the guy who got cut or whatever, halfway through a season or whatever, would be the hottest breaking story that somebody would pay so much money for if they could prove it.
I've said the same thing about like the Patriots, like cheating and stuff. Everybody's always all over them. Like, in this day and age, when players are changing teams so much and stuff, like, you know how hard that would be to do? And like immediately when that guy goes to another team, he's going to out him.
He's going to tell somebody, right? I mean, i.e. Mike Fires and the fucking Astros scandal, right? He goes to a division rival,
right?
And then he's talking to whoever he did his interview with, and ratted him out. But he didn't mind when he got a World Series ring out of the deal. Took him 2 years before he opened his mouth about anything.
I don't know where we're going with this, though. I mean, we haven't had anything about this year through week 5 yet.
For what?
For our questions. They're just...
Oh, the NFL decides who wins through penalties? Yeah, I don't know. Jay's Broncos fan. Maybe he's pissed about the last 2 losses. Yeah. He didn't say anything the first 3 weeks. I don't know that, Jay. I'm just
Especially, I didn't know he was a Broncos fan, so then
he's a Broncos
you had
fan.
to listen to Mike
That's something
talk shit about the Steelers.
I always talk. Yeah, right. I always that's like something I pride myself on. Like almost everybody I know, I can tell you who their favorite NFL team is.
Yeah, I can pretty much do that too, honestly. Yeah.
On to the next, we have Dave Sherman says the Bills are for real right now, should continue barring injuries, and the Raiders season, and I reworded what he said because he wrote this as the post was up. He said the Raiders season effectively ended like 19 hours ago. I put as Gruden resigns, which is the same exact thing he's talking about, but the Bills are definitely for real, and anytime I say that, it doesn't matter. I'm a homer. I get called that, so I agree with you, Dave, but when I say it, it's different than when you say it. So keep saying it to other people. And as the Raiders season ended, Kylie thought it was over when they were 3-0.
Yeah, I was never much of a believer even when they're 3-0. But the performance they had on Sunday makes you wonder if there was a lot of distraction going into that game from all that
I would think so.
And Gruden kind of knew that he was in trouble, maybe. And
yeah,
that might have played some part into that performance on this past Sunday.
I could agree with that for sure. Bengals, this is Hunter, says Bengals look like a playoff contender. Bills are winning the AFC. Chiefs have been figured out. Yeah, Bengals definitely look like they could be a playoff team.
No, I was all over that at the beginning. I liked them going.
They got some weapons.
I liked them a lot going into the year. They added some players on defense, and I like them.
Bills winning the AFC. See, we can't. This is something that if we either of us say, then they're just. Of course, you think that.
I think that they are really in the driver's seat because of their schedule. So, yeah, I mean, they're in a really good spot with their division, and their schedule the rest of the way is the easiest in the NFL. So,
I'll take it.
So. I mean, they pretty much hold their own destiny.
They got a couple
and have a
couple
good
tough
shot
games. They got the Bucks on there,
right? But they have the easiest schedule in the
right.
NFL. The rest of that.
Chiefs have been figured out. Kind of looks like it.
I think, disagree.
But even if they have, okay, Andy Reid's too good of a coach to allow that to happen for too long. He'll fucking do something and make adjustments, and they have this. Players in place that they could probably change the way they're doing things and find a new way to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, they're missing two of their best players on defense, and they're just turning the ball over a lot right now. I think Mahomes is going to cut that down, and and the defense will get back to around middle of the pack once they get Jones and Ward back, and I expect them to be back in the hunt by the end of the year.
So next one, Tim Zaffino says the Cowboys are legit, still trying to figure out how the Steelers beat the Bills. Prevent defense doesn't work and made Lamar look like a competent passer, and the AFC South is garbage. I ran out of characters to type in this banner, but he also said that the Titans are going to win that division with like a shitty record. I think he said 8-9 or something like that. But we already said Cowboys are definitely legit. I've been still trying to figure out how the Steelers beat the Bills also, because I think if they meet like this week, that does not happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think they came out flat that game. The Steelers had weeks and weeks and weeks all offseason to come up with a game plan for that game too, and they threw some funny stuff at them.
I'm also on board with the fact that I think that loss, I am like more and more becoming okay with that loss. Because if there's a lot of hype in the offseason for Buffalo, and everybody knew that, including the players. And I just think grounding them right off the bat could have been like a really good thing where they were like, oh, okay. So, I mean, it sucks it had to be against Pittsburgh because of our, where we live. But I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing for them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the NFL. That's the other thing. It's like everybody like thinks that Buffalo should always beat Pittsburgh, but if they play today, it's like a touchdown or less spread.
Yeah.
Still, and it's like it's not like it's Alabama against Jacksonville State where it's a 40-point spread. You know what I mean? Like, any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody in the NFL, and it's all the teams are so close. Like, you're going to lose games. Nobody's going to go undefeated.
No.
I mean, it's, you know what I mean? It's a very tight league.
Prevent defense doesn't work and made Lamar look like a competent passer. I already apologized to Lamar because I think he is becoming a competent passer. But like Kylie said, which I agree with, we got to give him more time too to see if he can do this on a consistent basis or if it's just going to be, one of those here and there.
2 games a year, 2-3 games a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, for example. All right, last one, and then we're going to get to some of your comments. Defense no longer wins championships. Mike Kuzminski. I don't agree with that.
Me either. That's what won it for Tampa Bay last
Exactly. And I don't know if this is because he's a Steeler fan and their defense is supposed to be really good. He thinks they should be in some games more than they are. Or, I don't know. I don't know where he's coming from with that. We'll have to ask him another time. But, I can't agree with that one. And I'm hoping that the Bills defense can lead them to one.
Now, the game's definitely changed. There's a lot more offense than there used to be. And teams play a lot of spread offense and chuck it more, and there's more points being scored. But defense 100% still matters in the end.
So we have a couple comments to get to. Hunter says they do this every year. Then in November, December, they go downhill. I don't know what team he's talking about because those comments have been up there since the beginning of the segment. So you're going to have to let us know on that one, Hunter. Brian Lastman referencing Bobby Pring's comment about the Dallas. He says, Bobby must be a Steelers fan. They love to hate Dallas. He's actually a Bills fan who we don't necessarily love Dallas. They kind of ruined my childhood a little bit, but and Hunter just told us that the Cowboys is who he's talking about, that they always start off hot and then go downhill. I mean, I don't know. It's a long season for any team, and it could happen to anybody. And it's just like saying that's just like saying that the Chiefs are figured out when they still have 12 more games to go. Is that how many there are? What are we in? Week 5, week 6?
Yeah,
week 6. So I mean, and if they turn it around, then you have the
big thing with Dallas is that their defense is definitely better.
Yeah,
I mean, Micah Parsons is a stud.
Diggs
has been playing really well. And Dan Quinn, maybe he just wasn't a good head coach.
Yeah.
The guy was a great defensive coordinator in Seattle. He's just a really good defensive coordinator.
It's what got him into a head coaching job was his ability to run a defense.
And he's doing a great job here. So, maybe some guys are just meant to be better coordinators. They're just better coordinators than they are head coaches.
Right.
And maybe he's one of them.
All right. That's going to wrap it up. Our first full live show. Appreciate everybody who tuned in and, commented, and that's fun. Keeps it interactive for us and gives us new things to talk about. So real quick, just want to thank all of our sponsors: Swing Juice, Napoli's Pizza, YourDailyLocal.com, Jones Pest Control, Means Sales and Service, Icy Inc., and the Me, Myself, and Rye podcast. We're going to be back actually in about 5 minutes live again because we're going to do a quick 3-bagger show. No fantasy this week. It's just going to be our bets because Kylie and I are running on empty.
Yeah.
We both worked nights last night. So thanks for listening. Again, the audio will be uploaded to wherever you listen. If you didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing or you prefer listening, if you're driving, mowing the grass, whatever the hell you're doing. So thank you again for listening. Take care. Be safe.